Hello, welcome my dear students of MSc Semester 4 who has opted Cell and Molecular Biology as their elective paper. Welcome back to this virtual classroom. I hope all of you are safe, hale and healthy. So today is the first class of your special paper, which has now been called the elective paper. So the cell and molecular biology has been categorized, divided into 5 groups, 5 units, you can say. And these 5 units are concerned with the different aspects of the cell and molecular biology. Today, we shall be dealing with the section regarding recombinant DNA technology, belonging to section 4, unit 4. So the recombinant DNA technology, as you must know, is concerned with production of recombinant DNA, that is the DNA having brought from different sources, splits from different sources, they are joined together and we produce a novel new DNA molecule, and that DNA molecule is again introduced into the system through a vector and it produces the desired result. Recombinant DNA technology has made a giant leap in the sector of biomedicine, agriculture, pest control. All it has the potentials to affect, to touch almost all facets of our life. And since the discovery of restriction endonuclease and other enzymes, we can simply juggle with the different segments of the DNA and we can join anil this to that, and in a way we can produce desired results having desired recombinant DNA by inserting DNA of our choice into a vector and cloning it, producing its clone, and thereby harvesting its products, so on and so forth. So today we shall be dealing with the tools of the recombinant DNA technology. We have to study the tools and techniques. So first we should study the tools of recombinant DNA technology, and only then we can see or understand that how those tools are employed to produce the effect of the recombinant DNA technology. So firstly, we shall see into the tools, encounter the tools, see how those tools are handled and how they are applicable in the process of producing recombinant DNA, and then we shall see the process itself. So beginning with the slide share. We adjust this thumbnail. So the recombinant DNA technology, as I have told you, is concerned with producing recombinant DNA derived from different sources and inserting it into the living system so that that DNA can be multiplied, having so many copies. DNA library can be formed, DNA can be cloned, and the desired results could be observed. So the DNA technology, recombinant DNA technology involves bringing DNA from two different sources and combining them together. So the first task before us while we are pursuing the recombinant DNA technology is to cut DNA from different sources. Then we will have to join DNA. Then we will have to introduce that DNA into the living system and propagate that DNA. So the first and foremost task is to cut the desired section or the segment or the fragment of the DNA as per our choice. So for that, we have employed an enzyme which may be euphemistically called the seizure of the genes. That is, it cuts the genes at desired point in such a way that those genes can be annealed, can be coalesced, can be inserted at desired points too. So this seizure of the genes, that is the restriction endonuclease enzymes, these are of great use, and with the discovery of these enzymes, we made a quantum jump in the field of recombinant DNA technology. So what are the restriction enzymes? So these enzymes are endonucleases. We know that there are two types of nucleases, endonucleases as well as exonucleases. So exonucleases cut the nucleic acids at their terminals, whereas the endonucleases make a cut in the interior of the DNA or RNA fragment. So the restriction endonuclease, being an endonuclease, will cut the DNA, will cleave the DNA or RNA, whatever the case may be, inside, that is away from the terminal, in the interior of the nucleic acid. So why it is called restriction? When it cuts, it is nuclease, it is endonuclease. Well, why it is restriction endonuclease? So the enzymes, restriction enzymes, have been derived from the bacteria, and bacteria use those enzymes for restricting the multiplication of bacteriophages in them. So it was an adaptation by the bacteria for restricting the multiplication of bacteriophages inside their system. That is, they had to fight out the bacteriophages, the parasitic phages inside the bacteria had to be controlled, had to be restricted, and that's why they have devised an enzyme. An enzyme had evolved in their system, which is called restriction endonuclease. Since it is endonuclease, it cuts into the interior of the enzyme nucleic acid. It cleaves the nucleic acid in its interior, and since it restricts the multiplication of bacteriophages, infecting phages into the bacteria, it has been called restriction endonuclease. So restriction endonuclease can cut the DNA. We are concerned with the DNA, so I would repeat DNA and DNA. So it will cut the DNA, and it is a tool for cutting the DNA. So it will cut the DNA in two ways, as far as the ends are concerned. It will cut the DNA in blunt edges. That is, at the point of the cutting, the two strands of the DNA are equally cut. That is, they are bluntly cut. And another way of cutting is that the two ends remain staggered. That is, they are not equally cut. Rather, one end remains unpaired for a few base pairs, and another strand also remains unpaired for a few base pairs. And you can say that the strands overhang without being paired. In case of blunt-ended cutting, what happens? That both the ends remain completely paired and they remain equal. But in staggered cutting, what happens? That the unpaired ends remain. That is, at both the termini, there is a length of DNA which remains, one strand of the DNA which remains unpaired on either side. So such type of unpaired DNA has got a tendency of pairing when they encounter their complementary nitrogen bases. And so they have the tendency to stick to a segment or a fragment of DNA having such a staggered end. And so in that sense, such ends are sticky ends. That is, they could stick with each other when they are provided with complementary ends, or two fragments cut by the same enzyme having overhangs can easily pair because they are cut at a specific point, which is the recognition point. We shall deal with the mechanism of cutting in the next slide. So currently, we are seeing that it restricts the multiplication. Let me have the pointer. So it restricts the multiplication of alien DNA in the bacterial cell by breaking them down as a potent weapon against infection employed by the bacteria. So these enzymes restrict the multiplication of the bacteriophages, and that's why they are called restriction enzymes. Each bacterium has unique restriction enzyme, and each enzyme recognizes only one type of sequence. More than one type can also be recognized. The specific nucleotide sequence at or near which it cuts. Either it cuts through the sequence of its recognition, that is, the enzyme recognizes a specific sequence of nucleotides on the DNA, and it can cut either across the that particular recognition point, or it can cut a few bases on either side of the recognition point. So we shall see that how this cutting takes place. So the nucleotide sequence usually recognized by the restriction endonuclease, and particularly in case of genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology, we employ restriction endonuclease 2. So most of the restriction endonucleases 2, that is endonucleases falling in this category, their recognition segment is a palindrome. Palindrome, you see, do you mean? No, what is palindrome? What do you mean by palindrome? Palindromic sequence are the same when they are run in the opposite direction. So you can see here that from 5 to 3 direction, this is GATTC, and from 5 to 3 in this case, in the another strand running in the opposite direction, here also GATTC. So GATTC, and in opposite direction GATTC. So palindromes are same when read from either direction, that is from left to right and from right to left. The sequence will read the same, and such type of sequences are called palindromic sequence. So restriction enzyme 2, which is most useful for the recombinant DNA technology, and to which we are concerned here, they utilize the recognition segment for these enzymes is constituted by palindromes, that is, sequences when read in opposite direction come to the same. That is, the nitrogen bases are arranged in a same way when they are read in opposite direction. GAA TTC, GAA TTC. Now, most of the palindromic sequences have a point of symmetry in the midst. Here in this example, you see AT, AT. Now, on the right side, TC, TC. On the left side, GA, GA. So, there is this AT, TA is the point of symmetry for this sequence of nucleotides, and the exact point of symmetry, and either it is cut across this point of symmetry bluntly. So GAA, TTC, CTT, AGG will result. If it is cut across this point of symmetry bluntly, then two fragments of the DNA will result having equal ends. And so such type of cutting is called blunt-ended cutting. But in staggered cutting, what happens? That it is not cut across the point of symmetry, but on either side. So other cut between the same two bases away, away from the point of symmetry of two strands. So in the sticky end cutting or staggered cutting, the point of symmetry is not cut across, but away from the point. Cutting takes place away from the point of symmetry, thus producing a staggering break. The latter produces a sticky end since there remains unpaired bases. A few bases remains unpaired at both the ends of the two cut fragments. They have the tendency to anneal with a similar cut made by the same enzyme, because they will encounter complementary nitrogen bases, and those complementary nitrogen bases will pair with each other. So two fragments cut by the same restriction nuclease will have the tendency to anneal together when they are brought into close proximity. Most restriction enzymes enjoy GC-rich segment, GC-rich, but some recognize AT only. Some enzymes such as FOK1 recognizes non-palindromic sequences, or some such as ACC1 recognizes more than one. So here degeneracy is there. One enzyme is recognizing more than one segment, more than one stretch of DNA. So here there is degeneracy too, and some other do recognize even non-palindromic sequence. So recognition of palindromic sequence is not the rule, rather it is the most commonly found phenomenon. Most of the enzymes of type 2 recognize the palindromic sequence. There are other enzymes, isochimer. Enzymes recognize same sequence. Two enzymes which recognize same sequence, they are called isochimer, whereas some nucleotide cleave, although they encounter the same, they have the same recognition segment, but they are producing different segments, different fragments. So same nucleotide, those recognizing same nucleotides but cleave at different sites are called neochimers. So neochimers, they are enzymes which do recognize the same sequence of nucleotides but produce different cut products. That is, they cut the DNA in a different way. Each of them will cut the DNA in a different way. So although they have the same recognition sequence, the result will differ. So they are called neostimers, and those having slightly different recognition sequence but identical segments are called isocaudomers. Another type of enzyme is what way is it cutting? So it has got the same neostimers where the same recognition segment but different types of product, and here the different recognition segment but having same cut products. So although their recognition segment differ, that is, they recognize different sequence of nucleotides, still they cut those nucleotides in such a way that similar cut products are produced, and such type of enzyme restriction enzymes are called isocaudomers. So let us see how this blunt ending and the sticking ending process goes on. Here you see this is the sequence, palindromic sequence, CCC, GGG, CCC, and GGG. So this is a palindrome, and it is being cut across the point of symmetry. CG and GC represents the point of symmetry. So here it is being cut across the point of symmetry, resulting in to the blunt ended. Both the strands of DNA are equal at both the termini, and that's why they are called blunt-ended products. But here you see here that the point of symmetry is 80, 80. As we have seen in the previous slide, the point of symmetry is 80 and 80, but the cutting is not taking place across the point of symmetry, rather a few bases away from the point of symmetry. And so here 80 has not been bisected, but after one nucleotide, the cutting is taking place in this strand. And here, after one nucleotide on the right side, the cutting is taking place in this strand. So both these strands are not being cut in the same way. In one strand, the cutting is taking place at one nucleotide from the one side of the point of symmetry. In the other strand, the cutting is taking place after one nucleotide on the other side of the point of symmetry. So what will happen? Here, the cut will be like this. So here, the cut will be like this. So the result will be GCTTA. And for this strand, the cut will be like this. So one cut be like this and another cut will be like this. So the result will be GCTTA and GCTTAA. GCTTAA and GCTTA. GCTTA and GCTTA. So TTAA in this case and TTAA in this case remains unpaired. Now, when a fragment of DNA having such unpaired ends will encounter another fragment of DNA having A, T, T. Then what will be the result? Thymine, thymine, adenine, adenine. T, T, A. Then it will automatically pair. Hydrogen bonds will be formed between the complementary nucleotides. So this end is sticky for the purpose that when it encounters a complementary sequence of nucleotides, it will automatically pair with those nucleotides. So when another segment from another animal has been cut by the same restriction endonuclease, what will happen? They will also exhibit end complementary to this end, and both these ends will anneal together. So in that sense, since it will stick to its complementary overhang, these ends are called sticky ends. These ends are called sticky ends. Even when you bring these two, they will again pair A, T, T. So this type of cutting is known as staggered end cutting, sticky end cutting, whereas this type of cutting is known as blunt end cutting, and this is overhang cutting. It is also called overhang cutting because you see a certain pair of nucleotides, they are hanging over without pairing with the nucleotides of the another strand. So this type of cutting, that is the sticky end cutting, is very important because it will automatically lead to the hydrogen bond formation when a complementary end will meet together. So if two fragments having been cut by the same restriction endonuclease are brought together, they will automatically form hydrogen bond with unpaired nucleotides. That is, they will stick to each other. And so this sticky end formation is very important and very useful for us while we are pursuing the process of goals of the restriction, the recombinant DNA technology, that is while we are in the process of forming the recombinant DNA. Now, mechanism of action. What is the mechanism of action? Let us see, try to understand through these diagrams. Here the DNA, double-stranded DNA is here, and you have got this recognition site. That is the site which is recognized by the restriction enzyme, and blunt or staggered cutting is made here. We are dealing with the restriction enzyme 2. We shall see how the enzymes have been classified and what are the characteristics of on which they have been classified. So what happens that the restriction enzyme 2 is made up of 2 subunits. So either this restriction enzyme enters directly at the restriction point, or it enters the DNA a few bases ahead the restriction point. So here in this case, it has entered a few bases ahead at the restriction point, and this entry is facilitated by the conformational changes, the 3-dimensional changes in both the enzyme as well as the DNA, and that's why the entry will be more facilitated and the enzyme will gradually slide towards the recognition point. So when here enzyme is sliding towards the recognition point, the entry was non-specific binding because it has not entered at the point of recognition. It has entered before the point of recognition, which was not being recognized. So it is not a specific bonding. It is generalized type of bonding. After entering into the DNA, after binding with the DNA, it slides or moves towards the recognition point. And when it reaches the recognition point, 15 to 12 hydrogen bonds are formed between the amino acids and nitrogen bases. And these formation of these hydrogen bonds, they will have a specific grip on, they will result in a specific grip over this recognition point, and that will result into the cutting with the help of what? Bivalent magnesium ions are necessary here, and the bivalent magnesium ions will enter and they will cause the holding of the water. And so these two strands will cut in a staggered way. That is, they are cut a few bases away from the point of symmetry on either side. And so their ends will have unpaired nucleotides. That is, they are sticky ends. You see here the chemical reaction. The backbone of the DNA is being formed by phosphodiester bonds. So these restriction endonucleases cut the phosphodiester bonds. So here the bond is being cut and hydrogen is added to one end where oxygen, you see here that hydrogen is being added here and hydrogen being added here. So OH will result and H3PO4 will be formed. So coming to our slide, we see here that nuclease enzymes cause nick in the nucleic acid, while exonuclease remain in the nucleic. Nuclease enzymes called nick in the nucleic acid, while exonucleases remove nucleotides from the ends. Endonucleases cut the inner bonds of the nucleic acid that I have told you earlier. A restriction endonuclease performs functions. What functions they perform? Recognition, binding, cleavage, and release of the enzyme and water. So the enzyme may bind directly to the recognition site, as I have told you earlier, that they may enter directly into the recognition site or a few bases ahead of it, leading to conformational changes in the enzyme dimer. So when binding takes place, conformational changes in the enzyme will take place, and enzyme slides towards the recognition site, and upon encountering the latter, that is, when it meets the recognition site, a specific complex formation takes place between the protein and the DNA, leading to conformational changes. So here, when it read first, here it was entering, it has entered not at the point of recognition, but ahead of the point of recognition, and conformational changes has taken place and it is sliding towards the point of recognition. But when it enters the point of recognition, hydrogen bonds are formed. So formation of 15 to 20 hydrogen bonds formed between amino acid and DNA bases, which ultimately cause release of water and breakdown of phosphodiester bond with the binding of magnesium divalent ion. So magnesium ion is bound and then the breakage takes place and water is released. So here water is being, hydrolysis is taking place, and so water, OH and H. So OH has been added here to phosphate group and H to the this oxygen, and so here the base is attached here, and here the sugar. So sugar phosphate, here the sugar phosphate bond Here sugar phosphate bond, the diester bond, phosphodiester bond. So here is one ester bond. It is being attacked, and the water is hydrolyzed. Hydrogen attaches to this point, and hydroxyl group attaches to this point. So let me have the laser pointer. So what happens that 15 to 20 hydrogen bonds will be formed between amino acids and DNA bases, which ultimately causes release of water and breakdown of phosphodiester bond. So breakdown of phosphodiester bond will be accomplished by the attachment of OH group to one and H group to other. So specifically the bonds between 3O atom and P atom is broken. So we can see here that bonds, here the bond is being broken, O and P, 3O atom and P atom is broken, 3OH and 5PO3 is produced. So here OHB is being produced, and here also OH is being produced. PO4 is produced. Magnesium ion, bivalent magnesium ion is required for catalytic activity of the enzyme. It holds the water molecule in a position where it can attack the phosphoryl group. So its purpose is to hold the water in position and attack this phosphoryl group, so resulting in OH here, and OH group is attached to here. Which ultimately causes the breakdown of phospho which ultimately causes the breakdown of phosphodiester bond. Which ultimately causes the breakdown of the phosphodiester bond with the binding of magnesium divalent ion. So what is happening here? Breakdown of phosphodiester bond is taking place, and this O is taking one H molecule resulting into the OH, and this P is having another OH molecule, and so the result is 3OH and 5PO3 is produced. Magnesium ion, so after the entry of the enzyme, when the enzyme reaches its active site, hydrogen bonds will be formed between the enzyme and the DNA, and these hydrogen bonds will lead to the change in the three-dimensional structure, the stereoscopic changes in both the enzyme as well as the DNA, and these changes along with the entry of the divalent magnesium will cause the breakage. The divalent magnesium will hold the water, and so the water, OH of water will get attached to the P, whereas hydrogen ion will get attached to the O, resulting O of the sugar, resulting in the formation of OH here and OH here. So 3OH and 5PO43 is produced. Magnesium ion is required for catalytic activity of the enzyme. It holds the water molecule in a position where it can attack phosphoryl group. So magnesium is holding this water in a position that it attacks the phosphoryl group, and so OH becomes attached to this phosphate, whereas the H gets attached to the sugar, and OH results here too. So that was all about the mechanism, how sticky ends are formed, and at the molecular level, how this breakdown of the phosphodiester bond has taken place. Now coming to the nomenclature of restriction enzymes. There are a number of restriction enzymes, and a system had to be devised so that they could be named and identified in certain ways. So the most common is EcoR1. So the first letter represents the generic name. So in case of EcoR1, it is E. coli. The generic name is Escherichia. So the E represents the generic name, whereas the next two letters represent the first two letters of the species. So the species is in Escherichia coli, this species is coli. So CO, first two letters will be added to the name. So this is Eco. Then the next letter will represent the strain. That is, R is the strain. And 1 is the number of enzyme discovered, 1, 2, 3, 4. So EcoR1 is the first enzyme discovered from R strain of bacteria Escherichia coli. So here you see the examples have been given. The first letter is always written in the capital letter, where E, in this case of EcoR1, the E represents the genus of the bacteria from which the restriction endonuclease has been isolated. That is, here it is Escherichia coli, so the genus is Escherichia. The second two letters represent the species of the bacteria, which is coli. So the second two letters represents the first two letters of the species. So since the species is coli, the co had been added, Eco. The third letter R represents the strain of the bacteria, which varies with different species. So third letter is strain, and the last is the number, that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, which signifies the order of identification. If this enzyme has been identified first, the last letter will be 1. If it has been identified from that bacteria, it represents the second enzyme to be identified from the bacteria. Then you will have 2. If third, then you have 3. So these 1, 2, 3 represent the sequence, the order in which that enzyme has been discovered from the bacteria. Similarly, another example, BAM-H1. So B represents Bacillus, then generic name, amyloliquefaciens. Amyloliquefaciens is the species. So first two letter M, they together constitute BAM. H is the strain, and this was also the first enzyme to be discovered from the B amyloliquefaciens. So these collectively it will be called BAM-H1. So that is how the restriction enzymes are named. Different types of restriction enzymes. Different types have been designated. Usually they have been classified into 3 types, but some of the authors have categorized them into the 4 types. They are designated by 1, 2, 3, and 4, which differ primarily in structure, cleavage site, specificity, cofactors, etc. So type 1 enzyme. Type 1 enzyme has 3 units. It has got 3 units, and it carries out both cleavage, that is, it cleaves the DNA, as well as methylation also. We shall see why and how methylation is carried out. So it will cleave the DNA and it will also cause methylation of the DNA. Where is the site of cleaving? It does not cleave the DNA at or across the recognition site, rather almost 1,000 bases away from the recognition site. So the recognition site is not cut across, or it is not cut a few bases away from the recognition site, but about 1,000 base pairs away from the recognition site. It also requires bivalent magnesium, as we have seen in the earlier case, but in addition to the bivalent magnesium, it requires ATP as well as SAM, which stand for S-adenosyl L-methionine. So the three factors are magnesium, bivalent magnesium, and ATP plus SAM, S-adenosyl L-methionine as cofactor to function. Multifunctional protein with both restriction and methylase activities. So it will not only cause the cutting of the host infecting DNA, that is the fast DNA cutting will take place, as well as it will cause methylation of the host DNA. How methylation and why methylation, that we shall see in the next slides. Type 2 enzyme. This type 2 enzyme is very important for our purpose because we are dealing with the recombinant DNA technology. So this type 2 enzyme has been of wonderful use for recombinant DNA technology. Type 2 enzyme, it has got two lobes. It cleaves not across the recognition site, but a few bases away from the recognition site on either strands. As we have seen earlier, that it cuts here. We see that it is cutting it has cut not across the recognition site, that is, it has cut not in this way, not across this recognition site, but a few bases away from the recognition site on either strand. So this cutting is not blunt end cutting, but it is a staggered end cutting. So different types, 1 to 3. Type 2 we were dealing with. So it is short a specific distance from the recognition site. It does not cut across the recognition site or at the recognition site, but a few bases away from the symmetrical point of the recognition site, as we have seen earlier. And it does not cause methylation. There is another enzyme, there is another monomer enzyme which causes methylation. So here most require magnesium, single function restriction enzyme independent of methylase. That is, unlike type 1 enzyme, it does not cause methylation, but it only causes restriction, that is staggered end breaking of the DNA. Now, type 3 enzymes, they cut at the short distance away from the recognition site and they require magnesium ATP, but that ATP is not hydrolyzed, and S-adenosyl L-methionine, that is the SAM, which was being required as cofactor in the first group. Here it is required, but to stimulate the reaction. Methionine stimulates the reaction, but it is not required. It exists as a part of complex with a modification methylase. That is, both first and third, they cause restriction, that is cleavage of the DNA, as well as modification, that is methylation of the DNA too. Whereas the second enzyme, which we are concerned with, causes only what? Causes only cleavage of the DNA. It doesn't cause methylation of the DNA. And we have another system for methylation of the DNA. And the type 4 enzyme targets modified DNA, that is methylated, hydromethylated, etc. It targets methylated DNA. Now, RM system, restriction modification system, we were dealing with while enumerating the classes of the DNA, we were dealing with type 1, type 2, type 3. So in type 2, we have seen that it is concerned only with restriction, that it only cleaves the DNA in staggered ends, and it is not concerned with methylation, whereas the other two types, 1 and 3, they are carrying out methylation too. So why methylation? Why we are concerned with methylation here, and why these enzymes are carrying out methylation? Can you make a wild guess? No. So methylation is another purpose. For another purpose, it modifies the nitrogen bases of the DNA. So what happens that in case of our restriction enzyme, that is type 2 restriction enzyme, it recognizes palindromic sequences of certain sequence, that is of certain specific length of nucleotides having certain specific sequence of nucleotides. So those nucleotide sequences, that is those recognition sites, may also be present in the bacterial genome too. That is, the bacterial genome may also contain similar restriction sites which are being recognized by the bacterial DNA in the bacterial enzyme in the phage DNA and being cut. So what will happen if the enzyme will encounter similar recognition sites in the bacterial genome too? It will cut the bacterial genome too, leading to the suicidal impact. So the enzyme restriction enzyme had been evolved by the bacteria for dealing with the infecting phages. It recognizes a specific sequence of nucleotides, which is called recognition sites, in the bacteriophage DNA and cuts those recognition sites. So the bacteriophage DNA is fragmented, and that fragmentation of bacteriophage DNA restricts the multiplication of bacteriophage. But if similar sequences, similar length of sequences are found, and they are being found in the bacterial genome, what will happen? These enzymes will not be able to distinguish between the phage genome and the bacterial genome. They won't be able to distinguish between the self and the alien, and they will ultimately cause self-injury. So it would be suicidal, it would be self-destructing. So there must be some sort of mechanism to distinguish or to save the bacterial genome so that these enzymes could not target the bacterial genomes, and the bacterial genomes will not be a sitting duck for these enzymes. So what sort of changes are being brought about? At the recognition site, the nucleotides are being modified. And what sort of modification is taking place? They are methylated. So methylation of nitrogen bases at the recognition sites will lead to the restriction enzymes, not identifying them as their target sequences, and will not cleave those sequences. So the distinction between the self and alien, that is the distinction between the genome of the bacteria by the bacterial enzyme and the genome of the bacteriophage, is being done on the basis of methylation. The self sequences, self nucleotides at the target sequences have been modified by adding methyl groups to them, and so the bacterial enzyme won't recognize them as the bacteriophage recognition segment or as a recognition segment at all. And so in that case, the self genome will be safeguarded from the attack of the self enzyme, that is the restriction endonuclease. So let us see. So this modification of modification of bacterial genome by the enzyme is called modification system, whereas the cutting at the specific site of the bacteriophage system is called restriction system. And you have seen that type 3 and type 1 both have got both restriction as well as modification. They have got methylation characteristics too. That is, they have got the power of methylation. They can add methyl group. In our case, that is in type 2, though it has not got the ability to adding methyl group, but it has got a sister enzyme, transmethylase, which cause addition of methyl group to the recognition sites, and thereby recognition sites are saved from being attacked by their own restriction enzymes. So restriction modification system is a system which has been devised so that restriction occurs only for the infecting bacteriophages, whereas the genome of bacteria itself is saved from that particular enzyme by carrying out modification, and this system is together called restriction modification system, and it represents the defense against self-destruction. That is, the bacterial enzyme should not destroy the genome of bacteria, and this had been ensured by restriction modification system, and that's why it has been said that it represents a defense against self-destruction. Restriction enzymes which have been designed to restrict the bacteriophages may encounter a restriction site on its own genome, and the breakdown of latter will prove suicidal. So it will lead to the breaking down of its own genome. So it will be counterproductive. It will be self-defeating. In type 2 system with which we are concerned, mostly used for recombinant DNA technology, it's composed of 2 or 3 separate proteins: the endonuclease, the methyltransferase, and sometimes a controller protein. So here, the methyltransferase is not a part of the enzyme itself, as we have seen in case of type 1 and type 3. Here, another enzyme, another, you can say cognate enzyme, sister enzyme, whatever you may call, is there, which is carried out the methylation of the nitrogen bases. It is called methyltransferase and sometimes a controller protein. The methyltransferase and nucleases are encoded as 2 separate proteins. This is very remarkable in case of restriction 2, which has been employed for carrying out the recombinant DNA technology. The restriction as well as the modification systems are distinct. They are not a part of one entity, and they act independently. The Methyl transferase acts methyl group to the nitrogen bases, mostly methyl adenine. Here it is also remarkable because in animals and plants, methylation of cytosine has been encountered widely, but here the common methylation is methyl adenine. So methylation is being added to adenine rather than cytosine, which was more common in animals as well as plants. Here too, we encounter methylation of cytosine, but not on that large scale, not more oftenly. This endonuclease recognizes the same sequence as its cognate methylase. So both these enzymes are recognizing the same sequences, that is the same recognition sequence which the restriction endonuclease attacks. That very sequence is being saved by methylase, transmethylase, by adding methyl groups to them, so that providing a safeguard against attack by the restriction endonuclease. The preferred substrate for these methylase is the hemimethylated. Now, there is one more point. So, hemimethylated and totally methylated. So, if methylation process is not carried out quickly, then what will happen? Some enzymes which were attacking the bacteriophage DNA may attack the self DNA too. So that's why the bacteria is giving utmost importance, priority to methylate its own bases, so that they should be methylated at quicker pace, so that the enzyme which is engaged in breaking down the phage DNA should not get an opportunity to break down its own DNA, because its own DNA had been methylated at that point of attack very quickly, very at a faster pace. So let us see in this next slide. Here you have got the bacterial DNA. So before replication you know is the semi-conservative process. So before replication, it has got methylation on either strands. You see here, both the strands, this is the recognition site, and this recognition site has been properly methylated at both the strands. But when replication occurs, what will happen? Two strands in the semi-conservative replication, out of the 4 strands of the DNA, 2 will be the new strands, whereas 2 will be the older strands. So older strands will have methylation, which was done earlier, but this new strand, they will have to be methylated. So this will be called the semi-methylated. Here you have say that DNA produced by the replication of oscom. When a DNA phage genome or other foreign DNA containing unmethylated targeted hemimethylated. You look here, the hemimethylated. So this is the hemimethylated condition. Only one of the 2 strands of the DNA at the recognition site have got the methyl group, that these methyl groups have been inherited from the parent DNA strands. So these should be methylated at once. Now you presume a situation when all the 4 strands at the recognition site require methylation. It will take more time, but when the DNA is hemimethylated, the enzyme will have to methylate only 2 strands. So the process of methylation will take place at a faster pace when we have got the hemimethylated DNA rather than the unmethylated DNA. So if methylated DNA is there, the semi-conservative replication will result in to the two strands of either new fragments of the DNA having methyl groups attached to them, whereas the two newest strands will have to be stitched with the methyl group. And so the enzyme methylase, transmethylase, will have you can say, task of lower order, that is, these two strands will be methylated at a quicker pace. So what will happen after methylation? You see that here you have methylated DNA, methyl transferase. So here you have got methylated DNA, methyl group added. So EcoR1 will not cleave. Both the strands or both the recognition point having both the strands, they are methylated. As we have seen here, methylation of adenine is common. So adenine has been methylated in this case. And so due to methylation, this restriction enzyme is being fooled. It does not recognize this stretch of DNA, although it has the same nitrogen-based sequence. It is palindromic nitrogen-based sequence that we encountered, EcoR1 nitrogen-based sequence that we encountered earlier. So it is the same nitrogen-based sequence on the bacterial genome, and it would have been broken down by the restriction enzyme, but due to addition of methyl groups to on both the strands, the restriction enzyme is not recognizing it as its target site, and it is not breaking down the cell. So the essence of the restriction modification system is that the restriction task of the enzyme is being accomplished on the phage DNA only. So the enzyme produced by the restriction enzyme produced by the bacterium is restricting the multiplication of the phage DNA only, and it is not destroying the self. And how does it distinguishes between the self and the align? In the alien DNA, that is the phage DNA, the recognition site has not the methyl group attached to it, whereas in case of the bacterial DNA, methyl group has been stitched to the recognition site, which befools the restriction enzyme, and the restriction enzyme does not target that recognition site. Now, we have seen that by methylation, the the bacterium targets its enzyme towards the virus, towards the bacteriophage. But the bacteriophage is not sitting idle. It is also evolving at a quicker pace to counter the restriction enzyme. It counters the restriction enzyme by directly binding and inactivating it, or it counters the restriction enzyme by befooling it. How does it befool the restriction enzyme? You see here, there are a number of ways. Many viruses, bacteriophages, that is viruses parasitic on bacterium, they attach some unusual bases. It may be here adenine, it may have got some unusual group attached to it, maybe methyl, maybe some other group. So when the restriction enzyme comes to attack this recognition site, it will find the recognition site altered, and it will be befooled that it will be maneuvered not to attack the bacteriophage DNA. Another way is that this entire recognition site is being masked by a protein. It has been covered by a protein. So when this restriction enzyme comes here to attack it will not find its recognition site, and it will ultimately be befulled, and the bacteriophage will save itself, and it will lead to the multiplication of phage DNA, replication of enzymes, phage DNA, transcription of enzymes, and ultimately the bacterial genome will be broken down by the phage enzymes. The third is methylation. So as the bacterium hoodwinks the restriction enzyme by adding methyl group to the restriction site, to the recognition site, the phage also, some phages also have evolved this mechanism, and they attach the methyl group to their recognition site, to the nitrogen base at their recognition site, and they will befull the restriction enzyme. They can synthesize proteins which bind to the restriction enzyme to inactivate it. Inactivation of endonuclease by phage proteins that mimic DNA and bind tightly to the enzyme. Since it binds to the DNA, here is a protein that will mimic the DNA, that will act as the before the restriction enzyme as if it were a DNA, and the restriction enzyme will be befulled into identifying it as the DNA and will bind tightly with that protein, and so it will miss the target, that is the recognition site on the bacteriophage genome. You have seen that most of the restriction enzymes that we will deal recognize what? Palindromic sequence. So many bacteriophages have evolved in such a way that they avoid palindrome. That is, they do not exhibit palindromic recognition site on their genome. So the viruses, smart bacteriophages, they have altogether changed the recognition site by avoiding the palindromic sequences. They restrict the number of palindromic sequences on their genome, or they tend to evolve in a way to do away with the palindromic sequence. And if they do away with the palindromic sequence, the restriction enzyme of the bacterium will not have the target on the bacteriophage DNA, and they will not attack the bacteriophage DNA, and the bacteriophage DNA will be able to multiply inside the bacterium and do the rest. So there are many restriction modification systems in different bacteria. So there is not one restriction modification system. That is, the multiplicity of restriction modification system shows that the evolution is going on. That is, both the virus, the bacteriophage, and the bacterium, they are having a tug of war as far as the avoidance and targeting by restriction is concerned. That is why the modification systems have also multiplicity of modification systems have evolved, and restriction systems are also evolving. So the tug of war between the bacteriophage and the bacterium continues, and the process of evolution goes on. So we have not come to the full stop, and if at all we come to the full stop, then the smarter bacteriophages will modify themselves, and the bacterium will have to face the consequences. So the bacterium is also on its toes, and the virus is also devising novel means to befool the bacterium. That's how I have coined the tug of war. The tug of war between the bacteriophage and the bacterium is going on, and both sides are trying to dodge the one and the other. So that's how we have seen the restriction enzyme. A restriction enzyme is a very important tool of recombinant DNA technology, because it not only cuts the DNA at specific points, that is their recognition points, but it also cuts the DNA into staggered end, and if two fragments of DNAs are cut by the same restriction enzyme, they will have complementary staggered ends, and they will readily stick together when they are brought in close proximity, resulting in the formation of the recombinant DNA, which was our target. So in this class, we could deal with only the restriction enzyme as a tool of recombinant DNA technology, since it was one of the most important tools. So it had been dealt with in quite detail. And now in the next class, we shall deal with the other tools which we employ for producing recombinant DNAs. Thank you. Thank you very much.